install one of our 5-inch intake systems on a Dodge Ram TRX. First, what you want to do is use one of these. This is a plastic clip removal tool with a flathead screwdriver. This is how we do it. You can use just this one, or you can just use the flathead screwdriver. However, they both work better together. Now you can get this cover off. Pops off just like that. Next, what you want to do is take off the main intake box. So you can do that by removing these screws here. There's two bolts, a 10mm and a 13mm there. These are both 10mm. And there's two more here, a 13 and a 10, and another 13mm. Now you can get these clamps, either an 8mm or a flathead screwdriver. Get that clamp out. You're ready to lift up. This comes off pretty easily. Just lift up. Alright, now you got that out. Be very careful not to drop anything in here. Either way, you're going to be taking it out, but still, it's best not to drop anything in there. So what you can do now is you got to disconnect the IAT, the intake air temperature sensor. The way I like to do this is I like to first unplug it. You unplug it, leave the plug there. Now you need to cut this hose right there. You need to cut that hose. Get a razor blade or a box cutter and slice along the way, but be careful not to cut through the plastic. And the same thing goes on this end right here. See where that hose connects? You gotta cut that. We already cut this one, so it's gonna come off easy. But you need to cut that off and remove it. And just like that. Looks just like that. Now you gotta loosen this clamp right here. We already got that loose. So this comes right off. This comes right off. This box. We got the box off now. Now let me show you how to get the intake air temperature sensor out of this box. It twists on and off. So if you look inside, you can see it. And you grab it right here, grab it with your hand, and start twisting it counterclockwise. You're gonna see it move. See it moving? There, once you get it positioned to come out, just wiggle it around. Be very careful not to break it. Now you wiggle it, and it should come out. See? Be careful not to break it, it's very sensitive. Place this sensor in a safe area too, so it doesn't get lost or damaged. Now, next thing you want to do is get the coupler that we provide with our intake, the 4-inch to 5-inch coupler. Place it on there, on the throttle body, and tighten it just a little bit. It does not face up like this. I'm just using it to tighten the clamp well. Once you tighten a little bit, you can move the coupler still, but it doesn't just fall off the throttle body, which is what you want. You want to have it be able to move. Now, let me show you something else. See how there's about 1/8 of an inch of coupler showing away from the clamp towards the throttle body? That's what you want. You do not want it to be all the way on the edge, because you do not want it to be all the way on the edge, because then it will just pop off. You need to have it about 1/8 of an inch right here showing over the coupler. Do not put it too far this way to the right, because then it will pop off as well. When you tighten it, it will just pop out. Now what you want to do is get the grommet that we supply with a kit and insert the intake air temperature sensor in it. Make sure that it goes in just enough so that the O-ring on the intake air temperature sensor goes right in the grommet, just a tiny bit. It doesn't have to go all the way in. Just a tiny bit into the grommet. Just like that. Just like this. See if it will focus. This is our prototype. We're installing this on Haniel's truck. Here's the hole for the IAT. Now you get the temperature sensor and you put it inside of our intake. You can use a flathead screwdriver to help yourself, or you can just use your fingers if you can do it with your fingers. If it pops in, it should pop right in. We recommend to install this properly is to put some lubricant on this end where it slides into the coupler. You can use WD-40 or petroleum jelly. I like to put some petroleum jelly on it. It's very light. 8 or 5 inch T-bolt clamp. When we install these, we like to position them in a way that it's easy to get to, but still kind of out of sight. Alright, now I'm going to run this bolt in by hand first. Now remember, I ran this bolt in by hand, very lightly, to make sure it goes in very good and straight into the thread. Do not force it, you might mess up the thread. Now, I got this torque wrench to torque this down, the bolt down. It's going to be set to 130 inch-pounds. That is about 11 foot-pounds. So 11.8 or about there. So you set the torque wrench to 130 inch-pounds and you torque it. If you do not have a torque wrench, I suggest you rent one out in AutoZone or an auto parts store. This is a crucial area. See that click? It's torqued. And that's it for that. Moving on. Now, we're going to start installing the hose with clamps. So, first push the hose onto your, put the clamp on, push the hose onto your valve right here. Once you get that done, you can put that on here. The hoses come longer. We supply the hose a little longer, so you might have to trim it down just a little bit, depending on how you route it. We supply it just a little longer, just in case. Maybe you want to route it a different way. Again, now you just snug it down, and that's it. Next thing we have left to do is plug in the intake air temperature sensor right here. Make sure the harness is pushed all the way over so it's not stretching it. Plug that thing in there. See, it should not be tight. It should be like that. Free to move. Alright, so we move to the passenger side of the vehicle. And now we're going to be installing the air filter. Same thing. You see the joint on the air filter? I like to put it away so you don't see it. Same thing with the clamp. The clamp, I like to put the clamp up top so that it's not that visible, but still easy to reach. Once you get the filter on there, make sure the clamp is a little bit towards the edge, just a little bit. Not too much. It likes to just slide off also, just like the other ones. So if it does that, you can loosen it, reposition it how you want, and then tighten it down. I like to tighten it down in the middle of the flange area. And it's always trying to slide off, like usually what it likes to do. That's just how these filters are. How most filters are actually. You get it on there, get it tight. Give it a quick check. Make sure it's tight on there, not gonna pop off. Intake is solid. Next, we're going to make sure everything is good. So we torque this bolt, we tighten the filter, we tighten both couplers, installed the intake air temperature sensor, connected the hose. Make sure the hose is good. The hose is good. Now, we're going to put this cover back on. The front cover here. Alright guys, just like how you removed it, you're going to put it back on. It just pops in there. Very easily. Nothing crazy, no force needed. Just a little bit on the edges here, just to pop into the slots, that's it. There's a slot here and on the other side that it pops into. Make sure these are all in there. Now you may notice that we're missing the bar that goes across. You can either leave it this way or you can install it back on. I'm going to show you how. Alright, so you're going to get an 8mm socket with a ratchet, Phillips screwdriver. You can use a flathead screwdriver or you can use an impact driver with an 8mm socket on it. Just remove your stock airbox cover. To remove it. Now, inside there is a few Torx bits. These are T30 Torx bits. And this bar comes off. You can see. Now you want to take this bar over to your truck and install it in your truck. Place it here. Make sure it locks into the grommet slots right there. And remember, you got a few sizes here. You got 10mm, 10mm head, then you got 13mm head. You have a another 10mm up there. See if I can reach it. Now, going over to this side, you got your 13 millimeter that goes down in here. $10mm right here, and then another 13mm head in this one.